Hello everyone, and welcome to the 27th episode of Analyzing Evil, featuring our patron pick for the month of May, Darth Maul. Maul is an interesting villain to look into, as rather than turning to evil of his own volition, he was instead indoctrinated from a young age to be a tool of the Sith, an extension of evil who had almost no choice in the matter of treading a dark path. However, well into his adulthood, when he was more than capable of straying from the dark path he was set upon, he still chose to commit atrocities and horrible crimes that would have a negative impact upon the galaxy at large. I'd like to preface this video by stating that I'll be covering Maul as he appears in the current Star Wars canon, and I won't be utilizing any information from Legends content. However, I am a huge Legends fan, and at some point in the future, I will be covering the Legends iterations of any Star Wars characters I cover. With that said, in this video, I'll be taking information from the Darth Maul Marvel comics, including Son of Dathomir and Age of Republic, the Clone Wars TV series, Solo, Rebels, and The Phantom Menace. Now, without further ado, let's begin. Born into a society of dark side practitioners on the planet Dathomir to Mother Talzin in 54 BBY, Darth Maul, from his very inception, was thrust into a world that valued the darker aspects of life and the Force, and early in his childhood, he was taken away from his mother by Darth Sidious and indoctrinated into the Sith. From this young age, Maul was trained to be the ultimate weapon, a versatile tool that would be instrumental to the Sith grand plan, and to fulfill this role, he was put through brutal training and exposed to pain and cruelty to harden his body and mind. Though the Sith are taught to embrace all their emotions, to free themselves through the dark side, Maul was made to focus on his anger, fuel for his hatred towards the Jedi, whom his master had conditioned him to see as the ultimate enemy that brought about the near extinction of the Sith, stoking in him an unquenchable thirst for revenge. His appearance is a testament to the ferocity that lies within him, covered in the tattoos of his clan, and emanating an aura of fury and hatred. Maul is imposing, menacing, and a vision of anger through and through. A smile from Maul is little more than the satisfaction at the prospect of fulfilling or fulfillment of his dark desires, and it's rare to see Maul move or act in a way that doesn't embody the ever-present anger roiling within him. Maul's anger constitutes a great deal of his personality, and though he's cunning, snide, and somewhat amiable when the need arises, anger and resentment are almost always present in the way he holds himself, even when he's dealing with his allies. The only exception to this rule is his appearance in Rebels, where at varying points, he's much calmer than he was in his younger years, and though his goals and overall personality remain the same, he's much more condescending at points, rather than wrathful at all times. This anger ties directly into what he was designed to be, the very embodiment of revenge, the key component of Maul's philosophy that drives nearly everything he does. Before the invasion of Naboo, Maul was so singular in his pursuit of revenge against the Jedi that the thought of killing Jedi consumed him, a constant desire to slaughter an enemy that destroyed his order, bloodlust pulsing through his veins at all times at the prospect of killing his enemies. He wandered through the galaxy, doing the bidding of his master, but all the while, he would try to find some relief for his never-ending hunger for blood, killing ferocious creatures, and testing his skills whenever he could. His desire frequently bled over into endangering the plans of the Sith, as he was brazen with his exposure to the public, and would skirt on the edges of the Jedi's vision of him in the Force. On a mission secretly orchestrated by his master, Maul found his way to finally releasing all of the pent-up rage and hatred he had felt by capturing a Jedi Padawan who had been taken hostage by the criminal Zevs Rexus. Maul, after unexpected difficulty in fighting this Padawan, succeeded in killing her, and found that not only was he not satisfied with this kill, but he felt empty, devoid of emotion in securing his small victory over the Jedi. Instead of perhaps re-evaluating his purpose here, this instance only served to resolve Maul's conviction to bring ruin and extinction to the Jedi, feeling that this emptiness he felt was a result of a hole in his soul that could only be filled with the total destruction of the Jedi Order. Sometime before the invasion of Naboo, Maul returns to Malachor, where Maul experienced a vision that brought him a moment of clarity, wherein he realized that his rage was not enough to defeat the Jedi, and the patience his master had advised many times in the past was indeed necessary if the Sith were to succeed. I believe this moment plays heavily into who Maul becomes after his rebirth, this lesson being the only one that could penetrate the all-encompassing rage that clouds his judgment, allowing the deeper knowledge he learned from his master to shine through. though not completely, as Maul still frequently acts upon his rage without too much forethought after this event. Finally, in 32 BBY, Maul would have his opportunity to reveal himself, and to sate his bloodlust with a much better prize, a Jedi Master. We don't know how satisfying the death of Qui-Gon was for Maul, but his revelation to the world, and this event, must have at least brought him a certain amount of satisfaction. However, this satisfaction would be rendered moot with his near death at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Here we get to see a fatal flaw in Maul, and that's his frequent overestimation of his abilities, and his tendency to draw out the final moments of his plan in order to gloat before his enemies. For years after this incident, Maul would languish in the shadows of the Outer Rim scrap world of Lotho Minor, being driven mad by his injury and his now singular hatred for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and after the help of his brother and mother, he is returned to his sanity through dark side power, with his thoughts of revenge against Kenobi very much intact. This revenge was now solely aimed at Kenobi, and though his hatred of the Jedi still remained, personal revenge became of much more importance to Maul. Before his maiming, Maul, while still a student of his master, was much more rash, more prone to giving in to his anger, having little regard for the other teachings of his master. But after his return to sanity, Maul shows us that his time as a student of the greatest mastermind the galaxy has ever seen was no waste, and he has a keen perception of what fruits patience can bring you. Though he shows some of his impatience and hasty planning initially when Obi-Wan escapes from him and nearly brings about his downfall once again with the help of Hondo's pirates, Maul eventually has the opportunity to bring to fruition a grand plan of his own. With the help of Death Watch, he begins orchestrating a plan to advance his position as a Sith Lord by taking over some of the most powerful crime syndicates in the galaxy and installing himself as ruler of Mandalore. From this position, Maul planned to exact his revenge on Kenobi, but not with just a simple act of murder. No, that wouldn't be enough. For Maul, as he said when he first captured Kenobi, he planned on making sure Kenobi suffered as he had suffered, making him taste some of the pain he endured for so many years as a husk of a man, all because of him. As with many of his dark side brethren, Maul is sadistic, and this is our best example of his sadism, his desire to not only see his enemies dead, but to see them suffer as well. With this act, Maul succeeds in exacting his revenge on Obi-Wan to an extent, as the death of Duchess Satine causes Obi-Wan great pain. This act brought great satisfaction to Maul, so much so that years later during the time of Rebels, Maul kept a portrait of Satine amongst a collection of memorabilia from his past, hanging it above a mounted darksaber and decorating it with candlelight, a shrine to his past achievements and his revenge. However, as is a common theme for Maul, this chance to exact his revenge ultimately eludes him, as his former master comes to deal with his wayward apprentice. And now, after suffering at the hands of the one person he had hoped would be his saving grace, the man who had raised him, who had shaped him into who he is, Maul would include in his plans for revenge the very man he had once dedicated his life to. It would be after this event, and his breakout from a prison on Mandalore, that Maul would try to exact this revenge with the aid of his mother. However, this too, like so many other things, was foreseen by Darth Sidious, and Maul would ultimately fail in this plot, losing the only remaining member of his family. The death of both his brother and his mother show us something that we don't otherwise see in Maul: attachment. In both of these instances, we see a Maul who genuinely cares for the members of his family, even if he was rather coarse with Savage during his time as his master. Though he conspired to murder his master with his mother, it should be noted that Maul never let his hatred for the Jedi leave him, and at any point, he could have informed the Jedi of Darth Sidious's plot, but chose not to, likely for the reason that Ahsoka suspected during their duel on Mandalore, that being that Maul sought to replace Sidious upon his downfall. Even after his getaway, following Order 66, Maul would remain as elusive and persistent as ever, setting himself up as the leader of yet another crime syndicate, Crimson Dawn, and presumably continuing his endeavors to undermine his old master. After what we can presume is his eventual downfall from that position, we next see Maul during the time of Rebels, and he has continued to plot and scheme during those years to bring about the downfall of his old master. As I said before, age has tempered his patience somewhat, but he still harbors within him his intense anger and hatred for those who have wronged him. Here, his plans fail yet again, but with an unexpected blessing being placed into his lap, with the revelation of Obi-Wan's location. No doubt, Maul at this point still wishes to see the downfall of his old master, but with knowledge of Obi-Wan alive, and the opportunity to once again bring death to the man who had caused him so much misery, was an opportunity that couldn't be wasted. In the end, Maul suffers his demise at the hands of that very same man, and dies having fulfilled essentially nothing that he had sought out to do his entire life. So in the end, who was Darth Maul? He was a child who was born into a secretive society of dark side practitioners, a harsh world where the strong survive and the darker aspects of sentient life are embraced. This life on Dathomir would be cut short upon his induction as the apprentice to the most powerful Sith Lord the galaxy had ever seen. And through his tenure as the apprentice of Darth Sidious, he would learn to become an extension of his master's will, a weapon of pure anger and hatred, designed to serve only one purpose: revenge against the Jedi. Hatred, cruelty, and cunning. These are the tools Maul would use in his attempts to bring about the deaths of those who had wronged him. And though he didn't have much of a choice in the matter of his dark upbringing, his willful adherence to a philosophy of power, strength, and domination would render him a remorseless and relentless adversary who would stop at nothing to see his desire for revenge sated, causing the death and strife of countless individuals throughout the galaxy in the process. The embodiment of anger, hatred, and revenge, Darth Maul is a despicable and self-serving man whose brutality and absence of morality make him a villain worthy of revilement, and he is a man who more than deserves to be considered evil. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Analyzing Evil, and I hope you've enjoyed. What are your thoughts on Darth Maul? Did I miss anything? Let me know down below, and leave a suggestion for a villain you'd like to see featured while you're at it. If you liked this video and want to see more like it appearing in your feed, click the subscribe button to keep up on the latest episodes, and feel free to leave a like while you're at it. Thank you once again to all of my existing subscribers for your incredible support. If you'd like to support the channel further, consider signing up as a patron over on Patreon. Thank you to everyone who signed up so far, and a most vile thank you to those whose names you're seeing on screen now. Join the channel's Discord server to interact with myself and others in the community, and follow me on the social media platforms listed in the description for occasional updates on the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you soon.